Google was really the foray into smartphone AI features as far as photography. And now, with other companies jumping on board, the iPhone 15 Pro last year bringing in the post portrait mode where you could add the background blur afterwards, along with other features that they've had where you could select a subject and remove it from the background and then be able to take that and put it into another scene. And you can manipulate things in Apple Photos. Now, Samsung introducing new AI features. This brings to mind where smartphone photography kind of crosses the line. And as someone who's studied photography, and one of my first classes was photojournalism, I have some concerns as far as these new features. Now, for most users who are just going to be taking pictures of maybe their kids running around and snapping some photos at a sporting event, it won't matter so much. But there's still a world out there amongst people who are using it to tell a story, and for which that needs to be authentic, for which this creates a little bit of concern as far as ethics for me. What do I mean by that? Well, when you can take a photo and just remove somebody from the background, or you can take and select the subject and move them and change the size of them and maybe move where they are and put them in a completely different scene, this creates troublesome issues. Now, this has been around for a long time with digital photography. Even before that, you could select a subject and you could do dual exposure and put them into another scene, or you could take them and crop out the background and just completely change the look. And now it's easy though. With one click of a button, I can use my favorite editing software to just remove the background, take the subject, adjust the color so it matches a new scene. There's things like color match in Adobe Photoshop. Other photo software like Pixelmator has this feature as well. Now, then it goes a step further where you can go into software, go to a website, and you can type in things to create a scene prompt based off from your words. And we're seeing Samsung kind of bring some of these features to the smartphone where for me it's great, but some of it's a little niche. Some of it people are going to use and not really think about how it's creating a new moment that didn't really ever exist, creating false memories potentially down the line for their children when they're looking back on these photos and they say, oh yeah, I remember that, but that never happened. So for me, that's deeply concerning. Where it is also concerning is where you could take the likeness of somebody and place them into a scenario that never existed and try to cast kind of false stories on them. Maybe it's a political figure that you don't like. Maybe it's an ex that you had issues with. Maybe it's some kid is bullying your kid, and so your kid decides, you know what, I'm just going to make fun of them and I'm going to make them look bigger than they are or put them at some embarrassing scene. This is problematic for me. Now, all these companies say, yeah, we'll watermark it. But then the irony of that is you can use Magic Eraser to remove a watermark. So then the metadata, I guess, would have to show it, and all these companies would have to require the original image unedited to be uploaded. But is anybody going to do that? And is the software going to care? And who's liable for these instances? Now, when it comes to a photojournalist, the journalists themselves are responsible to portray these instances correctly to their editor, to the company that they're working for. The company is also responsible to make sure that those people that they hire and work with are providing what they see as the truth in photography. For me, I feel like some of this AI stuff is going beyond necessary and beyond the ethical standards for which we all should have, not just for photojournalists. And that is deeply concerning for me. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comments down below as this discussion continues. So while these features are neat, and while most of them will be used in simple ways, the issue with lots of technology coming out is how it's used and misused for purposes in order to cause harm to others, in order to commit crimes, in order to cast a story that doesn't really exist. Is that something that we should push back on these companies against? Is that something that we should kind of look at and say, is this cool to have? Or should we halt this? I mean, we've seen this with Google Assistant where it learns from you, and Siri learns from you, and different programs that learn from you, and it benefits you as the user, but you give up some privacy. And some people say, well, that's okay to give up a little privacy. But where it becomes an issue to me is when the software can take your likeness and put your face on somebody else's image. I've seen a number of my fellow content creators talking about software that's out now where you can select your photo and you can place your face on like the Mona Lisa, or into a GIF, or into a meme that's out there. And while it's all fun and games and it's all silly, the truth of the matter is somebody will always misuse it. And do we need repercussions for that? Do we need regulations by the government for that? Where you can come into play is making sure that people really see and understand and use this software appropriately. And maybe point them to this video so that they can think a little bit about how they use their devices. Thanks for being a part of this discussion. First, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. That helps me out a lot. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're someone who's in the photojournalism world, I'd love to get your input, of course, in the comments down below. And if you are not a part of that world, but would love to have your input as well down below in the comments section, we have great conversation down there. We keep it clean. I tend to respond as quickly as I can. Thanks for watching another tech discussion video. If you missed the previous one, where Daniel Scudery of Tech with Benefits was part of a discussion talking about Samsung features and showing off some of these unique features, please check that out. It'll be in the card right here. And as well as over here will be a video recommended for you. Thanks for watching.